San Antonio's Sports Center.
Well, the Spurs are back in action tonight as they look to snap a two-game losing streak when they welcome the Bucks into the Frost Bank Center. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. Everyone is available tonight, according to the Spurs, as the rumors surrounding Adair and Fox trade continue to swirl. Cowboys have a new offensive coordinator, hiring former Arizona Cardinals offensive line coach Clayton Adams.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That goal is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge. What's up, Danger? Can't stop me now.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining, whether that is on 94.1 on your FM dial. If you happen to be listening online via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player at sasportstar.com, or if you are watching live on YouTube, all of our shows are streamed live via YouTube. Just search at SA Sports Star. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You can comment along with the show in the bullpen right now. We got Fred Records, Mr. Evo X, asking about how I feel about the potential of losing Stephon Castle. And well, earlier today, Brian Windhorst on Get Up did mention that Stephon Castle could be a deal breaker in this whole situation.
There's a number of teams that have expressed interest in the Kings and trading for him by next Thursday. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to put that together by then. The San Antonio Spurs are the team that everyone's watching because that is the team that apparently Fox wants to go to. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So if he goes to a team where he tends to sign, that's going to be something. But Stephon Castle is the key factor in that one because Castle is the key piece that you would want in that deal, and they love Castle there.
Yeah, they love him in San Antonio. I love him. And it may be a deal breaker. I don't know. I can't say for certain what the latest with Stephon Castle is right now because let's face it, there's a lot of conflicting reports all across the internet, and some say talks have gone quiet. Some say that the deal is imminent. Others say it's not. My normal line of thinking when it comes to whether it's the NBA, NFL, whatever it may be, when it comes to the NBA, it was Woj and Shams. Now it's just Shams. I wait for Shams. That's the concrete evidence that something is happening, has happened, or is imminent to happen. He is the gospel to me. And in the NFL, it is guys like Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, and I'll throw like Mike Garafolo and Tom Pelissero and Jeremy Fowler into that mix. Todd Archer, if you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. You know, there are certain beat reporters that you trust exclusively, but we've known for a long time, the Spurs don't let a lot of stuff really get out in the open. So the fact that this has been so spreading like wildfire, it's very, very difficult to wrap your head around all these conflicting reports. So to me, I'm waiting on Shams until I know otherwise, because right now the mantra of the Spurs have been things don't really get out that often. And I'm going to assume things are the same until I'm shown they're different. That's just rule of thumb on how I approach the Spurs. Frank Valdez says Castle's untouchable. Mr. Evox says Castle to me is going to end up being better than Vassell, so it's hard to let him go. I agree. But it is also the thought process of Castle as Keldon, Vassell. All of them have or had a ton of upside. And when do you sell on said player? Do you wait to see where the upside ends? Because it looks like Keldon is at his ceiling. Devin is near his ceiling. If I were to guesstimate where they are in their growth and development since being on the San Antonio Spurs. Castle is still a lottery ticket with an arrow pointed straight up. Now, we thought Keldon Johnson was the future of the franchise in 2020 when he came out in the bubble and, was going to play for the national team with Pop. And then his play tapers off and all of a sudden his trade value starts to go down because of that. Devin Vassell, same thing. Like you either sell while the stock has a massive, massive high to it, or you write it out and you see what you got. And then by the time that happens, everybody else also knows what you got. So to me, I think Stephon Castle, I did this during the draft. I think his ceiling, like if he reaches his ultimate peak form and Pokemon evolution, I think he's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Super bouncy, great defensively, and can be the lead guard that can potentially be an MVP candidate one day. How many players actually reach their peak evolution of what we think they can be? It's not a high percentage, right? How many Spurs players have we compared to this is what they could ultimately be, and they never reach that? You can't predict it. And it's the same thing with that Atlanta pick. The Atlanta picks are great in theory. You look at those Atlanta picks, and sure, they look great now, but there's rumors they're trying to trade for Brandon Ingram, pair him with Trae Young. All of a sudden, they're probably going to be better towards the end of the year. Make a playoff push again, potentially. So if that happens, how great's that pick look? So you do sell while it's at its peak value right now, before a trade can happen and people start to think that they're going to be better? I mean, it's a bird in the hand with an all-star like De'Aaron Fox versus chasing a 4-leg parlay. Do you cash in the ticket or do you let it ride? Some Spurs fans want to let it ride, and I get it. I do. There's, if that Atlanta pick conveys, 14%, by the way, less if they're not in the bottom 3. If that Atlanta pick conveys, and if you get Cooper Flagg, and if Cooper Flagg turns into the player that everybody thinks he potentially could turn into, it's a lot of ifs. If. Guaranteed all-star. He already is. He's eligible for a supermax, or eligible for a max extension because he made an all-NBA team. Like, do you take what's on the table and what you know what something is, or do you continue to chase that parlay? Tavares says on our YouTube live feed, the Spurs can't develop players. It's hard to argue that. Since Chip England walked out the door, we haven't seen players develop in quite the same way that they used to. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is great, but De'Aaron Fox is just a piece. You still need shooters. You still need a big. But he makes you eminently closer, and it's easier to find those other two things than it is a superstar. How long after Kawhi left did it take us to find Wemby to get a legitimate superstar? And a lot had to go right for that to happen. You got a player, wants to sign an extension. I'm trying. I'm throwing in extra Atlanta picks. I'm throwing in Sacramento's own pick. I'm throwing in whatever I can to try to keep Castle out of it. If I'm the Spurs, I'm doing anything and everything. I'm inquiring about 3 and 4 teams like it's been reported, trying to get as much into this trade to where I don't have to include him. But there's a good chance that while it could be a deal breaker for the Spurs, it also could be a deal breaker for the Kings on the other side. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. More to get into regarding the latest on De'Aaron Fox and what's going on. We'll keep an eye on what's going on within the game as it gets ready to tip off, as we get closer to tip off. Tavares says Castles can't shoot. Yeah, neither could Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming out. He was a slasher. You need floor spacers on this team. You need somebody to help Wemby. Because right now there's not a lot on this team that scares the opposite team from taking away slashers, Wemby in the paint, all of those things. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Your conversations, if you want, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to get on the conversation. Plus, you can also join us live on our YouTube feed. Go to YouTube, just search SA Sports Star. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You can comment along with the show. Throughout the show, we'll give you the latest as it happens. I've got my noties turned on so that if anything does break from Shams, I can report it to you, or if I see something else, I can try and verify what I see. And I'll bring you the latest as it comes. But right now, it feels like things are starting to quiet down after they were to fever pitch right before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Druso says, doesn't absolve Wemby of all the responsibility? It doesn't. Wemby needs to be better. He's one of the reasons that the Spurs are losing. He's a great player. He is also one of the reasons that he was supposed to be this generational game-changing talent. He needs to be able to take over games, especially late, especially when those things are starting to slip away. He has to be, when games slipped away from Kobe or Michael, they would take the ball into their own hands and put it into it themselves. Wemby needs to be that kind of player too. But at the same time, it's part of his development as well. Remember, he's only a year and a half into this league right now. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Coming up next, though, Morning Huddle was in Las Vegas the last couple of days as they get ready for a massive fight down there at the MGM, and they got a chance to talk with boxing royalty Jim Lampley earlier this morning. We'll play a portion of that for you. Coming back here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Monday on the Morning Huddle, we're back from Las Vegas. How'd that go? And we got to get you ready for Super Bowl week coming up. Oh, and is De'Aaron Fox a Spur yet? Lots to talk about. Get here early. The party starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Mornings 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hey, this is Rob Thompson here for my good friends over at Prize Picks. It is now or never. The big game is almost here. Don't miss out on the last big one of the season. And Prize Picks is the absolute best place to win cash while watching the big game. And I'm talking about serious cash, 1,000 times your money. And it is so easy to do. And on top of that, we've got money for you. Just check out the promos tab to tail any of our super sweet Millie winners. Big game lineups, you can get them. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win up to $1 million. That's part of the promo finds. That's why you go to Prize Picks. I'll tell you what, you want some cash? Use the code Alamo. You get $50 instantly after you play your first game. That's a $5 lineup with 2 times the money. Let's go play Prize Picks. You've been putting it off all year long, or you've been playing along with the other 10 million. Prize Picks is the place to be. Go run your game.
The following is a dramatization.
Davis Law Firm, how can I help?
That guy pulled out in front of me out of nowhere. The police are on their way, but I'm really shaken up.
Don't worry. We're going to get you taken care of. You made the right call.
I'm Jeff Davis. If you've been hurt in a car, truck, or 18-wheeler wreck, call Davis Law Firm at 444-4444. We're ready to help day or night, and there's no fee unless we win.
Davis Law Firm, San Antonio.
Progressive presents a testimonial of sorts.
Hey, slow down! Oh, yeah? Well, you drive like my grandma. She's a very attentive and courteous driver who wears a seatbelt and always uses her turn signals. She's also a talented painter and has very low cholesterol. Not that that has anything to do with her drive. We just thought a more complete picture of who she is might be interesting. Anyway, have a nice day.
Safe driver? Get Snapshot from Progressive and get a personalized rate based on how you drive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. Uh-huh. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate all y'all riding along with me tonight. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the weekend. We're almost there. I can see the end in sight. And then Super Bowl next week. Of course, our Radio Row coverage powered by AA Best Bail Bonds begins starting Tuesday next week as the Blitz will be live from New Orleans. It is brought to you in part by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, Circa Las Vegas, Smoky Mo's Barbecue, Synergenics Testosterone and Weight Loss, and Southern Recipe Pork Rinds. Welcome into Extra Innings with Pledger. I appreciate all of y'all for being a part of the show tonight. Keep it coming in the chats. Everybody saying, Wemby doesn't see him filling out, needs to attack the paint better. Yeah, he's a year and a half into his development as an NBA player. It's not going to happen overnight, right? So we have to give this guy time to develop. I know he's developing at a lightning pace in some aspects of his game, but there are nuances, things, and body that are just going to come with time. And so we have to give him and afford him the ability to have that time to develop as a player, as an NBA player. I'll bring you the latest with the De'Aaron Fox rumors as they come along throughout the show. But earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle, the guys were down in Vegas. They were talking with getting ready for the big fight down there. And they got to talk to boxing royalty. That's right. Jim Lampley joining the Morning Huddle earlier this morning right here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Joining us now on the Morning Huddle is basically, I think of him as just the voice of boxing at this point.
In my life, he's the voice of just about every major sporting event I've paid attention to over the last 40 years.
So funny.
So very true.
Thank you very much.
The great Jim Lampley joins us. Jim, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Lovely, lovely. This fight, David Morrell, David Benavidez, this is, I guess, I'll ask it to you this way. You can probably say it better than I can. If you're not a diehard boxing fan, explain why people want to watch this fight. What's special about these two guys? Because these aren't the Canelos. These aren't the huge names that everyone is like, oh, I've got to see this fight. But I believe this is a fight worth watching. Tell the people about these two guys.
Well, of course, styles make fights, and
There are some similarities in their styles. They both have punching power. If you're going to see a fight between two light heavyweights, you want to see two light heavyweights with punching power. That makes it more exciting, and it's a calling card for both of these guys. Morrell, as a Cuban amateur fighter who was trained in the technical elements of the craft within the Cuban system, is seen by some as having a technique advantage against Benavidez. We'll find out in the fight if that is a critical factor. It's a relatively even matchup. They're the best 175-pound fighters in the world. The winner is likely to be seen as the most logical contender for either Canelo Alvarez or Artur Beterbiev, who just won a big fight in the division a couple months ago. And so it sets up big business down the road. It's big business tomorrow night. It could be wildly entertaining. It could be the fight of the year. And the one final thing I'll throw in there for you, San Antonio, David Benavidez is of Mexican-American heritage and extraction. David Benavidez, at age 13, weighed 234 pounds. He then set about losing 80 pounds to prove he could become an all-around athlete. So now he fights at the 175-pound weight limit. But one thing I have said about this sport for years and years is the very first legitimate, true Mexican-American heavyweight championship contender becomes an icon for the largest and most loyal boxing audience in the world. And if he happens to have punching power and charisma, which Benavidez has, he will become the biggest economic attraction in boxing and one of the biggest economic attractions anywhere in the sports world. And David Benavidez has the possibility of becoming that first great Mexican-American heavyweight championship contender if he decides that he wants to move up to heavyweight and seek that particular horizon. I know he's thought about it because I've asked him, and he did say to me, yes, I know, I understand, that's on my mind. Doesn't guarantee that it would happen. He has to keep reading the tea leaves according to the fights. He has to win this fight Saturday night, but there are overwhelmingly meaningful, big personality incentives for Benavidez going into this next big test.
Really? The dollar amount that the Canelo side, if he lost the weight, you see that would not overrun.
Well,
the
I mean, listen,
that's
the dollars he would make to fight Canelo Alvarez, that's a great consolation prize if he doesn't want to choose the more difficult path I'm talking about of becoming a heavyweight. But if he chooses to become a heavyweight, now we're talking about Formula One money. Now we're talking about Messi money. You know, we're talking about the kinds of things that only exist in other realms. So, because of boxing's entrepreneurial nature, event by event by event, every event tells its own story. He has an amazing opportunity. Of course, he could also lose to David Morrell Saturday night, and that would upend my narrative in that regard, because now he's back to trying to choose a path to prove he's the best light heavyweight in the world and get the Canelo fight. We know for a fact that whoever wins this fight Saturday night is calling out Canelo in the post-fight interview. Canelo knows that.
Yes.
So on we go.
When you talk about him moving up to heavyweight potentially, and like we just saw Fury Usyk too, and like the idea of someone that's Tyson Fury size fighting someone who's having to gain weight to become a heavyweight, like that just seems like different worlds to me, doesn't it?
Well, Usyk had to gain weight to become a heavyweight.
That's true, I guess. Yeah. And it worked,
and he wins. And I mean, Usyk is a very, very rare heavyweight in the sense that he has an argument to be made for number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. That's not normally a heavyweight application. But when you look at who Usyk has beaten, how he has beaten them, in which weight classes, et cetera, he's just an amazing fighter and an amazing competitor. He has technique. He has unusual power for a man that size, et cetera, et cetera. He's already proven a great deal. Could David Benavidez fight Alexander Usyk? He could be the bigger man in the ring. It's possible.
It's wild. And if he were to fight Canelo, obviously that is, I mean, the entire country of Mexico would be at a standstill for that fight. Could that be potentially like a passing of the torch type fight?
A Mexican icon versus a Mexican American icon. I think it could conceivably be seen as a passing of the torch, particularly since Canelo, who doesn't come from Mexico City or Tijuana, but rather comes from Guadalajara, has his own kind of background as opposed to most of the other great fighters who have come out of Mexico, and lives a great deal of the time in Del Mar, California. I don't know if he spends more than half the year in Del Mar, California, but it's something in that range. So just as Benavidez is a Mexican-American, Canelo is an American-Mexican.
How far away are we from Canelo being willing to pass a torch?
Well, that's another subject, and Canelo's always been tremendously honest with me. And I think, if I see him this weekend and I ask him, are you anywhere close to retirement? He's probably going to tell me no. You say that, I've got at least 2 or 3 more fights on my ledger that I think are worth doing. And, how do you walk away from that kind of money? I don't know what rational person would say to himself, I'm completely done with boxing. I don't want another $75 or $100 million. Most of us want another $75 or $100 million.
Nice
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I've got other questions for you. First, let's talk about what you're doing on Saturday at ppv.com.
So ppv.com is a new communications medium. We sit at ringside, 4 of us, me, Lance Pugmire from Boxing Scene, Chris Algieri, a welterweight fighter, Dan Canobio, whose family developed CompuBox, the punch counting system that I was the first blow-by-blow guy to talk about it on ABC back in the 1980s. With those 4 of us together at ringside, we type chat, a live ongoing chat stream into our computers. And that chat stream is the essence of what ppv.com is. The real twist is that the pay-per-view buyers, the people who are watching the fight, are automatically enrolled in ppv.com, or they click a box to enroll in ppv.com, and they join us in the chat.
I can interact with you during the fight?
Lampley, you don't know what you're talking about.
I've said that many times, Jim.
I've said this about you for years. You fall in love with too many fighters and stuff like that. And so it's great fun going back and forth.
Breaking that.
That was Jim Lampley earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle. If you want to catch the full interview, go check it out at sasportstar.com in the audio vault, powered by AA Best Bail Bonds. Goldfinger 123 asking who I got in the fight this weekend, Benavidez or Morrell. Look, Benavidez is the favorite, but I like Morrell. I do. So let me see. It's going to be fun, but ppv.com, sounds awesome. It's basically like our YouTube stream. You can comment along during the fight with what Jim Lampley is saying about it, which when you get a chance to interact with the GOAT of boxing announcing, fight announcing, Jim Lampley, I think you might want to take your opportunity to be able to do something. We got more with the De'Aaron Fox stuff coming up. Alex, I see you on the line. We'll get to you on the other side. Plus, the Dallas Cowboys have a new offensive coordinator. We'll get into all that as we continue here on the Blitz on Extra Innings with Pleasure, on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 FM.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online, mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text BEST to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text BEST to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text BEST to 200-300. That's BEST to 200-300. BEST to 200-300.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey guys, Jason Minix here from The Blitz. Have you avoided getting your T levels checked? Why continue to live with low energy or low libido potentially caused by low testosterone? Make a New Year's resolution and go to Synergenics. Their personalized TRT goes beyond standard treatments, and they have GLP-1 weight loss options as well. For current patients, Synergenics offers a $150 referral credit whenever you refer a new patient. Get started. Book your appointment at synergenicshealth.com. SYNERGENX health.com. On Super Sunday, you could be the crunch time hero. Porkrinds.com is bringing you a game-changing twist to your big day because it's also Pork Rind Appreciation Day. The crispy, crunchy, crave-worthy snack you love deserves its moment. Porkrinds.com is celebrating by giving you a chance to win tickets to the 2026 big game in Santa Clara. Enter at porkrinds.com and become your own crunch time hero. This Super Sunday, make sure your snack game is on point. Celebrate Pork Rind Appreciation Day. Get in on the action at porkrinds.com.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
It's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
This is Andrew Monaco, and you're listening to the home of the Aggies, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thank you for joining me this evening. Whether you're listening on the radio, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, listening online at sasportstar.com via the AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, however you may be listening, I appreciate you for listening and spending some time with me. Lots to get into as it comes to this De'Aaron Fox potential and how close it is, whether it's imminent, not imminent, whatever it may be, conflicting reports, 4 teams, 6 teams, is it expanding? Is it pending? We don't know for certain, and we will continue to keep an eye on what's going on. But if you want to talk about the potential of adding a De'Aaron Fox, what it may include, what it may look like, and what the future looks like going forward, feel free. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Like Alex. Alex, what's going on, my man? Welcome into Extra Innings with Pledge.
Hey, Pledge. How you doing, buddy?
I'm always good. How are you, my friend?
You know I'm hanging in there, brother.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Hey, I'll tell you, it's the idea of Fox being a Spur is definitely growing on me because, you know, you and I have had a couple of spirited debates about it.
Sure.
I really trust
would be nasty.
No, of course. But, you know, this talk about us maybe getting Brandon Ingram, I mean, they've got Atlanta maybe getting him, but if the Spurs if they could somehow steal him away, and get him and pair him with Fox and Wemby, And if you're somehow able to keep Castle, I mean, that's going to be a scary team, dude. And,
sure.
I called earlier and I talked to the fellas that were on earlier.
You know what I'd like more than I'd like Brandon Ingram? Seriously?
What's that?
I would like a Kevin Herter. I would like
I
a
would too.
Bogdan Bogdanovic. I want floor spacing on this team. I want Alex Lynn. I want an actual competent NBA big, not somebody like, with all due respect, Charles Bassey, who is basically, somebody that they've pulled up from the G League that's getting minutes, or, I think the most competent big man on this team is probably Mamu Shkilishvili, and that's not good enough. That's not.
No,
there are too many good NBA bigs in the league. So, rather than going after another big flashy name, I would rather address the issues that are actually at hand to pair with De'Aaron Fox. Because if you surround Wemby and Fox with competent shooting and an actual big that can take some of that pressure down low off of this team to allow Wemby to do what he does and freelance and come off the backside and block and do things like that, that makes this team eminently better.
Yeah. Well, Pledge, what do you think about the rumor that with the Bulls possibly being sellers about the Spurs going after Lonzo Ball and Vucevic, and it only cost them some second-round picks? Would you do that?
Vucevic would be great. I would love that ad, and they've got 17 second-round picks, so I would give them all up now as it pertains to Lonzo Ball. I mean, how many point guards do you need on this team? If you're keeping Castle, and if you add a De'Aaron Fox, and if you keep Chris Paul, because I would imagine there were some kind of promises on how they would move him if he is at all. How many point guards can you have on this team?
Yeah.
At some point, you're over prioritizing assets to a position that you shouldn't have that much, unless some of those point guards can actually shoot the three.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you did make a move for him, you'd have to find a way to move Trey Jones, and that might be where you send him to Sacramento in a package. You wind up giving up. You're probably gonna have to give up Vass. I know they don't want to give up Keldon. I don't think they do because his contract's so reasonable. But you probably have to put him in there. You put Trey.
You got to match salaries, and without including Keldon or Devin, you can't match those salaries competently.
Okay, so I mean maybe
Keldon's
Paul
your best. Keldon is your absolute best opportunity to match a salary with minimal pieces attached, right? Because if you look at the Spurs and how their contracts are structured, and I printed this out in terms of Bobby Marks gave a great thing to kind of break down everything, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying to pull it up right now so that I can give you the accurate numbers of salaries, because you got to end up matching salaries, and that's going to be kind of the biggest point of this whole thing. So your salaries and contracts that can help you get to the number that you're going to be at with the De'Aaron Fox. You've got Devin Vassell at 29.3, and you've got Keldon Johnson at 19 and Harrison Barnes at 18, right? Those are your real big contracts. So when it comes to De'Aaron Fox, which you're going to have to end up matching, and that's assuming he's the only person coming within that trade.
Sacramento,
So if he's the only person you are getting back, and that's only if you got to match 34 and 37 for the this year and next. So you've got a chunk of salary that you got to get up to and in range of. And the closest you can get to it is Devin Vassell's contract at 29. And you're still about 5, 6, 7 million short of getting up to the number that you're going to need to get to. So, I mean, you can throw in a whole bunch of bits and parts and pieces, But at some point, you have to match salaries, and I imagine that's where 4 and 6 teams come from if you're really holding on to a bunch of things and you're throwing draft picks at the problem to get other teams to unload contracts or players with contracts that can help you fill that salary. That's always a possibility. Yeah. But you got to remember, when you're looking at those assets, I mean, how do you get to the number? Because you got to get to that number to make the trade work.
I got you. I'm, honestly, Pledge, as long as they don't have to mess with Atlanta's 2025.
Why is Atlanta's 2025 so important to you?
Buddy, because if you look at their schedule from now until the end of February.
I've seen it.
I'd argue with you that they will win no more than 3 games. Everybody else looks like they're going to beat on them.
And what if they make trades to improve their team around Trae Young? Like is being reported, like with Brandon Ingram. Maybe it's a Jimmy Butler. Maybe they're going after a Benedict Mathurin. Like, who knows what they're trying to add, but they're involved in a bunch of trade rumors with a bunch of big names.
Yeah. I honestly, Pledge, I don't see it happening. I think if you're the Spurs, you don't give up that pick, bud, because truly, if they don't, I mean, look, the trade deadline's coming up next week. I don't see Atlanta being able to get people to take what they got.
You realize you're getting an all-star in return, right? And an all-NBA player.
Yeah, but, we have so many other picks, Pledge, that we could dig with.
Sure.
You've got
a top 14 Charlotte protected pick and a top 10 Chicago protected pick. Like, the value is lessened because of the protection on it. The value of that pick is lessened because of the protection on it. Your most valuable asset is those Atlanta picks because they're unprotected. Those and Sacramento's pick and the future Timberwolves pick. Those unprotected or top 1 or 2 protected picks, those are your biggest trade assets because there is a value that is tangible that you can see with them.
I hear you. I'm telling you, Pledge, something's telling me that we're going to wind up with a top 3 pick and it's going to be because of Atlanta. And if you go with that conventional thinking, as far as the way I'm thinking about it, I'd rather trade the Spurs lottery or their pick this year if you're going to get Ingram and you're going to get Fox, because I could see them getting up to about the 6 seed, maybe the 5 seed, and then who knows what could happen in the playoffs.
Sure. I mean, you get in with a team that's got, players, whether it's you go big with the Ingram and Fox and you try and, deplete your depth by adding all that. Sure. Like, maybe you can make a run as long as you stay healthy. Or if you add the pieces that need to be added, like shooters around them and a big in the middle, like this team can make a run and it will be as good as Wemby, and if they get a De'Aaron Fox, can carry them.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? It would be fun to see if they tinker with the lineup and they put in a lineup with Paul and Fox together on the court.
Sure. I mean, it's going to be very interesting once this game tips off and once they get into it to see lineups. Trey Jones normally comes in that second wave. So is he a part of it? Does Keldon come? Or they did not play coaches' decisions? Because if some reports are saying like it's pending, if it's pending, then you're not playing those players.
Yep, we'll find out in a few minutes, won't we?
So we'll all figure it out together. It's going to be very interesting. Somebody wrote in the YouTube chat, it's going to be like watching The Bachelor. Who's getting the rose tonight?
Hey, Pledge, it was good talking to you, buddy. Again, congrats on getting the show, man.
I appreciate it, Alex. You have a great one, my man.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Later. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. When we come back, the Cowboys, they have a new offensive coordinator, plus the latest. If we hear anything, we will keep you involved in what's going on with the De'Aaron Fox rumors here in San Antonio, because we all know that is the biggest thing going right now. That I could argue that is as big or bigger as Deion Sanders' watch was when it first happened with the Cowboys. It's all coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Monday on the Morning Huddle, we're back from Las Vegas. How'd that go? And we got to get you ready for Super Bowl week coming up. Oh, and is De'Aaron Fox a Spur yet? Lots to talk about. Get here early. The party starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Progressive presents a testimonial of sorts.
Hey, slow down! Oh, yeah? Well, you drive like my grandma. She's a very attentive and courteous driver who wears a seatbelt and always uses her turn signals. She's also a talented painter and has very low cholesterol. Not that that has anything to do with the drive. We just thought a more complete picture of who she is might be interesting. Anyway, have a nice day.
Safe driver? Get Snapshot from Progressive and get a personalized rate based on how you drive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe drive.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, Hims can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Members, it's here. Milo's Rewards Week deals for members only are up for grabs. Get up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items. Plus, members save $10 per gallon of Stainmaster Performance Interior Paint. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today and get instant access to Milo's Rewards Week deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
What's up, football fans? BetMGM is giving you the chance to win up to $250,000 in bonus bet credits. It's all part of BetMGM's longest touchdown jackpot, where you could be able to split the grand prize with anyone else who bet on the longest touchdown of the week. Log into your BetMGM account today and opt into the promo. Then place an anytime touchdown wager of $10 or more on the player of your choice, up to 1 player per game. If your player scores the longest touchdown of the week, you'll win a share of the $250K in credits. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age or older. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada. BetMGM's longest touchdown jackpot subject to rules. See BetMGM.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are unrestricted rewards credits that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pleasure. Appreciate y'all rolling along with me tonight as we take you all the way up till 7 o'clock. And then it is on into the weekend for all of us. Hopefully, y'all have a nice, chill weekend lined up. I finally do, I think. So I am looking forward to hopefully a whole lot of nothing this weekend. More on the Spurs. If anything happens along the way, it's going to be very interesting. It's funny. I got a message from Frank Valdez who tweeted me a NBA trade machine. That's always dangerous. Where he throws in Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, Julian Champagny, and Blake Wesley to Sacramento. In exchange, you get De'Aaron Fox, and the trade was successful. Look at that. Look at that. Come on, guys. Now, he did send a laughing emoji with it, so I'm very aware that, he was tongue-in-cheek as he said that. But, man, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over the next few days. As far as the NFL coaching cycle, well, Kellen Moore seems to be at least the favorite for the New Orleans Saints job. I don't know why he would take that job. Derek Carr, cap hell, first NFL head coaching job. If you stay in Philly with that offense, you will probably be one of the top candidates again next year if that offense continues to succeed under Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts takes a step forward within the passing game. I mean, that to me would be the better option is to wait out, because who wants to start your first NFL coaching job in such dire straits against the NFL salary cap? On the Pivot podcast, Nick Saban talked about how brutal it was going to Miami and not understanding like the cap hell they were in and trying to claw out of it and the limited time you get to turn things around as a head coach and just the difficulty in it that it was. And if he had it all to do over again, he's been very vocal to people that have asked him about, if you're going to go, be sure you're very aware of what these situations are, because they are hyper important to the success or failure when it comes to an NFL head coach. So, we'll see what happens after Kellen Moore finishes with the Super Bowl here next weekend and where that coaching search ends up going. But to me, I would think that he would have a much better perception around the league if things continue to go well with the Philadelphia Eagles and he sticks around and continues to grow that offense up there in Philadelphia. And he'll be, like Ben Johnson, probably the top, if not one of the top candidates in next year's coaching cycle. The Dallas Cowboys got themselves an offensive coordinator, and I think it's a fantastic hire. They got Arizona Cardinals offensive line coach Clayton Adams. Now, Clayton Adams, this past season for the Cardinals, their offensive line allowed the fifth least sacks, third least pressures, and over the last two seasons, they were third in rushing yards, only behind Philadelphia and Baltimore. They were second in yards per carry at 5.2 yards per carry. Not bad. Not bad with James Conner. Now, of course, they've got this nice little piece called Kyler Murray that also helps that, but it's going to be very interesting to see. I think it's a great hire. I think it helps the offensive line and the development of it. And we all know that Brian Schottenheimer is going to be the play caller. Now, speaking of Kellen Moore, the former Eagles offensive coordinator, Commanders assistant head coach, Brian Johnson, he is interviewed today for the Texans job. There's a lot that can be going on. They've gone in a bunch of different directions. I personally want to see them go with Nick Caley. Nick Caley, the passing game coordinator for the Rams and tight ends coach. He was somebody that they have interviewed before they hired Slowick. He's turned down the Buccaneers and the Patriots jobs. So he is waiting for the right opportunities. Could CJ Stroud be that right opportunity. Have a great weekend, everybody. Remember to check on your friends. Make sure they're doing all right. You never know what a simple text, "Hey, how you doing?" can do for someone. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star.
The John Clay Wolf Show. Here's what's going on in the Wolf Pack.
Somebody's knocking the door. I walk over, and there's Toby Keith. I'm like, "Hey, Toby Keith." He's like, "Hey, is Rick James in here?" I'm like, "Yeah." He does like to smoke the weed.
Yes, he does.
Yes. We are having some celebrities, Rick James and Dan Haggerty and
Grizzly Adams? Wow.
Hello, Grizzly Adams. The John Clay Wolf Show.
Catch the John Clay Wolf Show Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon right here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Summer or winter Texas weather doesn't do anything halfway, and neither should your roofer. You need